And lastly, ultimately, where the article was moving towards was then how do social movements not only collectively organize, but ultimately end in the mobilization, the mass mobilization of people, right? And so that's the goal of a lot of social movements. It's not just to bring people together to talk about the issue or to raise awareness about the issue, it's then to get them to do something about it, to create action and to create movement. So we saw that happen in at least 3 different ways. So the first way that they were able to effectively mobilize people is by creating solidarity amongst people. So part of that is just reinforcing existing relationships and maintaining strong ties through group connection. And so that's people who might already know each other, but strengthening those bonds, strengthening those ties. And then secondly would be about resource sharing across allyships, across nonprofits, making sure that all the members of the movement are getting the resources and information that they need. But in doing so, creating a shared identity, creating a solid mass of movement. The second area here is that they were coordinating collectively. And so through collective coordination, this was allowing people to collectively coordinate actions, organize in a decentralized way, create more flexible forms of collective action, and facilitate the self-organization of individuals. And so this is what we would automatically think of when we think of collective coordination, right? So that people are coming together, but in today's day and age, in a digital era, people want to be able to do that in a decentralized way so that they don't always have to be at the same place and same time, but that, you know, they can tap into digital networks when it's convenient for them at a time and a place that's convenient for them. So it creates flexibility in that sense, that people can drop in and move with the movement as they can, and then maybe yield back a little bit when they can't, or they get too swamped with work or school or whatever, with lives. And so then it moves from kind of like a mass movement to a collection of individuals. And the difference there is that you get that self-organizing, that people can opt in and out and flow in and out of the movement as they can, as they're able to. And lastly, where we saw this work moving towards was using mobilizing information to then mobilize people, individual people, mass groups of people, how they were using this. And so the research that we leaned upon had already identified these 3 areas of mobilizing information. We just saw that play out when we were analyzing how social movements were collectively organizing through digital technologies. And so the first is identificational, and that's basically what it sounds like, identifying. So that's the names and contact information for the social movement. So people knew who was in charge, or how maybe hierarchies were being used, or how organizational trees or contact information were being disseminated so that people could contact the people that they needed to contact when they needed to contact them. Secondly was locational information. And this is what we would typically think of when we think of social movements, is like the time and place of political activity. What is the location? But it's not just the geographic location, right? It might be the digital location, but it's also the day, the time, the Zoom link perhaps, however this is happening. It's all of that logistical information that makes a movement really come together. It helps them be organized. And then lastly, and most importantly, is tactical information. Tactical information isn't just internal, which is important, so people within the movement knowing how to get involved, but even more powerfully, people outside of the movement who are just getting introduced to the movement, who might be new to the movement, how do they get involved? So tactical information is the type of information like calls to action, raising awareness that help people understand what is this thing and how can I get involved. Oh, there's a book drive. Oh, there's a boycott. Oh, there's a protest. All the different ways in which I could get involved. A chapter meeting perhaps. That's going to be tactical information. We saw that that was key for collective organizing for these social movements.